Now with a full roundup of the top stories this Thursday, here's Tessa and the team with 5 News at 5.
Tonight on 5 News, attacked with a corrosive substance. A mum, her 2 daughters and several others are injured in South London. A police manhunt is on for the suspect.
If you see him, I plead to not approach him.
We'll update you on that search in a few minutes. Also on the programme, we speak to the man who lived through this attack as the XL bully ban comes into force. The post office hero Alan Bates hits back over a compensation offer he brands offensive. And the monkey business is over. But where did the zoo escapee end up?
Glanced to the side and the monkey was just looking straight in the window at me.
From across the UK, this is 5 News.
Hello, welcome to the programme. This is the scene of a horrifying attack. A mother and her 2 daughters are in hospital after a chemical substance was thrown over them last night. Police say the mum and one of the children, aged 3, have potentially life-changing injuries. Let's take you through what we know. Well, it happened here, just off Clapham Common in South London on Lesser Avenue. 11 people were taken to hospital to be treated for injuries. Some of those had been trying to help the mother and her children. Now, the suspect, who's been on the run since, is this man, Abdul Shakur Azadi. We can cross live to the scene now. Let's speak to Julian Drucker, who's been all day. Julian, some really distressing details coming out about what happened there. OK, Julian, thank you. We will, of course, bring you up to date on any developments if they happen during the programme. Next tonight, the man at the centre of the campaign for justice in the Post Office Horizon scandal has said he will reject the government's offer of compensation. Alan Bates has been fighting for decades. You may well have seen him portrayed in the ITV drama that sparked uproar across the UK. Well, Danny Sinha is here tonight. Danny, safe to say Alan Bates is not holding back, is he?
He certainly isn't. He's not mincing.
OK, Danny, thank you. Let's turn now to a story we've been covering a lot here at 5 News. From today, it's a criminal offence in England and Wales to own an XL bully dog if you don't have an exemption certificate. The animals must also be neutered, microchipped and covered by third-party liability insurance if they're going to be kept legally. Now, the National Police Chiefs Council have revealed around 40,000 dogs have been granted exemptions. Ruth Littrott has the story for us. Some more news for you now. A man has appeared in court today charged with murdering 2 teenage boys in Bristol. 15-year-old Mason Rist and 16-year-old Max Dixon died last Saturday night. Anthony Snook spoke only to confirm his name, date of birth and address during the hearing. This January, 1,335 migrants crossed the Channel in small boats. That's 155 more people who made the trip compared to the same time last year, according to Home Office data. And MPs are warning that the financial crisis facing England's councils, like this one in Nottingham, are out of control. A cross-party committee said the government has to fill a £4 billion funding gap to avoid a severe impact on services. From councils in need to the party that says it can help them. Labour has been setting out its plans today, promising to hold taxes down for big businesses and saying ensuring economic stability is a priority for them. But which party do business owners think they'll be giving their vote to come election day? Our political editor Andy Bell has been finding out. Now, do you remember this classic? Our favourite hard man, Vinnie Jones, had a huge impact when this ad first came out over a decade ago. But we've learned today that despite campaigns like this, 4 in 10 people still don't know how to do CPR. So we thought we'd ask for your thoughts on this. Do you think training should be mandatory for everyone in schools and offices? Have you ever had to perform CPR for real? Perhaps even you've had it done to you. Maybe you think it's a bit daunting and you'd rather leave it to the professionals. Whatever, tell us, get in touch. You know the drill. 07555 500 501 is the number. Tell us what you think. We'll read out some of your messages later. Plus, find out why this famous climate change activist could be fined £2,000. And Claire has got the forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Now through the next 24 hours it turns really mild yet again, particularly in the north, where we could see a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius across the northeast of Scotland. See you in a while.
Nice start to February. Thanks, Claire. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to 5 News. The climate change activist Greta Thunberg has been in court today. The 21-year-old is on trial for allegedly ignoring police officers when she was asked to move to a designated protest area. She was arrested for staying put during a demonstration outside a conference where oil executives were meeting. Well, Catherine Jones is in the studio now, but you were in court today, weren't you, Catherine? Tell us what happened.
I was, yes, and I was there when...
OK, Catherine, thanks for the update. Next tonight, some more headlines for you, and Lewis Hamilton is on the brink of leaving Mercedes to make the move to Ferrari. He's currently in a 2-year deal with Mercedes, but it's understood the 7-time Formula One world champ could make the jump to Ferrari in 2025. There has been no formal announcement as of yet. And more than 1,000 European farmers have blocked roads and burned tyres in Brussels as protests around new environmental rules continue. The demonstrations in the last few weeks have been a plea for more help with rising costs and taxes, and started in France, where protests are still ongoing. Officials who investigate complaints about mental health in England have warned patients are being left at risk of suicide after they leave hospital because they aren't being cared for in a safe way. Poor record keeping, families not being kept in the loop, and a lack of communication between different services are part of the problem. And the latest reporting on suicide deaths around Britain show the same worrying picture, with 186 deaths by suicide happening just 3 months after discharge from care in 2020. Now, Peter Lane has spoken to one mother whose son took his own life 6 weeks after he was taken to A&E with suicidal thoughts. Just to let you know, you might find some of what she has to say distressing. That was Nicola Robertson speaking to Peter there. And I can tell you that the NHS trust involved in Tyler's care has apologised to the family and says it's learned lessons and made changes. On the bigger picture, NHS England told us this. They said NHS England is working with patients and families on new standards for inpatient care, which will help to ensure that patients are discharged at the most appropriate time, while the NHS long-term plan commits to increasing funding by £1 billion a year to transform community mental health services. Now, if you suffer or struggle with anything you've heard in our last report there, then there is help available, and there are some details on the screen right now. OK, we've got loads more to come up in the show, including we put our top Scotland team on the hunt for that monkey, and they got lucky.
The search that everyone's been following has ended in success, but where in the Highlands did this mischievous monkey end up?
And you really don't want to ignore this fella.
My name is Vinnie Jones, and I'm going to teach you a lesson you'll never forget.
Well, that campaign got loads more people learning CPR, but that was over 10 years ago. So it's time for a refresher, and you're going to need one of these. We'll tell you why. First, let's take a quick look at the weather. We'll see you in a sec.
Bum feeling right as rain? Weather on 5, sponsored by Anusol Soothing and Cleansing Wipes.
A lot of cloud over the next few days, and with a moist and mild southwest wind, we'll see patchy rain and drizzle. Places will be mild.
Bum a bit under the weather? Weather on 5, sponsored by Anusol Soothing and Cleansing Wipes.
The time is exactly 5:30, so it's time to tell you the top 5 things you need to know today. Firstly, the police are asking, have you seen this man? 35-year-old Abdul Shakur Zaidi is the main suspect after what's being described as a corrosive substance attack on a woman and her 2 children in South London. The mum and her youngest daughter are said to have potentially life-changing injuries. Alan Bates, the former sub-postmaster who took on the post office over the Horizon scandal, has rejected the government's latest compensation offer. He says the amount being offered is around a sixth of what he requested. Now, if you own one of these in England and Wales, you have to have an exemption certificate because a full ban on XL bullies came in today. 40,000 pets have been registered. Experts believe more than double that could be being kept illegally. Next, as we've just heard, climate campaigner Greta Thunberg has been in court today. She's one of 5 people facing public order charges after a protest at an oil and gas conference. And there's a warning tonight that people who go to A&E with severe mental health issues often aren't being looked after properly. Inspectors say record keeping and communication with families both need to be improved urgently. Next to another health-related story, and one that could save lives. I think it's safe to say many of us understand the concept of CPR. We see it in TV shows and movies and adverts, don't we? But if you were facing a real-life emergency, would you feel comfortable performing it? Well, a new poll shows 4 in 10 adults don't know how to perform CPR. That's equivalent to around 23 million people in the UK. Well, earlier I spoke to Rip and Dennis, whose life was saved when 2 strangers performed CPR on him, and Lizzie Moscadini from the British Heart Foundation. Great to talk to them, but we've been asking for your thoughts on CPR on the 5 phone tonight. Let me go to Paul and Karen from the Isle of Wight. Thank you so much for getting in touch. They say, we saved a jogger who died 4 times with us. The paramedics shocked him 3 times to save him when they arrived. He lives to this day. That's amazing. Michelle from Blackburn says, I once performed CPR. All I kept thinking was that song, Staying Alive, and yes, I managed to save the person's life. Kirsty is an emergency nurse. She says everyone needs to know how important it is to perform chest compressions. It buys so much time for someone in cardiac arrest. And Andrew from Plymouth says, I think all people should have the training for CPR. It will help so much more. Don't say it, do it. Great message. Thank you all for getting in touch tonight. Really important message there. OK, we're going to take a short break now. But you know when sometimes a machine just won't do what you want it to do? Why not just crawl inside and get the toy yourself? But then what about getting out? And elusive little blighter, isn't he? Or is he? Loads to come. We're going to see after the break. Welcome back. Now it's that time of the programme where we take you around the world in 3 stories. And first tonight, we're going to go to the US capital, Washington, DC, and a dramatic appearance by the Meta boss, Mark Zuckerberg, who runs Instagram and Facebook. He was one of a number of social media executives being grilled by senators over the harm caused to children as a result of their content on their platforms. And he was put right on the spot when this happened.
There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now? Well, they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
Now, you can't really hear him as he's off the microphone, but he does say sorry to the families of some victims, saying no one should have to go through the things that you have suffered. Next, let's go to Brazil and a river called the Rio Seco in the south of the country. It's been polluted after sulfonic acid leaked into the water after a truck carrying a load of it crashed nearby. Now, it's really dangerous to humans and wildlife. The substance is actually used to produce detergents, and you can see how it's caused the river to foam up completely. Incredible pictures there. Finally, let's go to Brisbane in Australia, and you know those machines full of cuddly toys that you have to try to grab using a mechanical claw? We've all done it. Well, 3-year-old Ethan decided it was easier just to climb inside to get the one that he wanted. Yes, predictably, he got stuck. Cue the police getting called and the subsequent rescue. They're about to break down the glass there. All is well that ends well. Ethan does get rescued. What we don't know for sure yet, though, is whether he got to keep the toy. I think he had a lovely time there. Now, I'm going to say I'm a Carrie, but are you a Samantha, a Miranda, or a Charlotte even? For those of you who have absolutely no idea what I'm on about, you might recognise this. Just Bushnell, brilliant to meet her. Now, this is the story that's had us all on the edge of our seats for the past few days. Scotland's missing monkey, there he is, has finally been found after 5 days roaming the Highlands. Our reporter Alan Jenkins was at the wildlife park for the moment they found out he'd been caught. Lovely to end on some happy news tonight. That's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bum feeling right as rain? Weather on 5, sponsored by Anusol Soothing and Cleansing Wipes.